What's good, everybody? It's your boy, my nigga girl here, aka Dudley Hyuga, back at it again with another TierZoo video, man. And the topic of this video is claws OP, man. But before we get to the video, you guys already know what to do. But if you're new to the channel, don't forget to like and subscribe. Comment down below for what you want me to react to next for more amazing content on this fabulous channel, man. Without further ado, let's get straight into this video. I'm weak. That's Snake, right?
Snake, are you okay? Snake?
Okay. Are claws OP though? Kinda. My personal opinion, I think kinda. Most of what I've seen so far from animals, claws is like a second primary skill compared to other shit. Like, especially when it comes to birds, the primary skill is learning how to fly, having wings, and the second primary skill is the secondary skill, I should say. That's the second primary. Secondary skill is the claws.
When speccing your character, it's important to choose equipment that integrates well with your chosen build's combat style and minimizes its inherent vulnerabilities. Weapons like horns and fangs are capable of inflicting massive damage, but using them in battle can leave a player vulnerable to counterattacks.
Damn.
And their value is mostly limited to
boy to the
1v1
afterlife.
situations. Balancing the risk and damage potential of launching an attack is a key.
Bro, if you like a snake, bro, you weird, bro. If you like snakes, you weird. Okay, not everybody's weird that likes snakes, but bro, come on. These niggas could end your life any moment. Obviously, most people don't take poisonous, but if you do like the poisonous snakes, bro, yeah, bro.
Strategic
GG's.
consideration when equipping any type of weapon. So today we'll discuss one that comes as a standard feature on many of the most viable builds in the game, claws. Claws are versatile, close-range weapons that can be used for offense or defense without sacrificing much in terms of mobility.
Iguanas.
They do require the user to get somewhat close to an enemy to launch an attack, but due to the low end lag on most standard slashing and swiping claw strikes, these tend to be one of the safest attack options a player has access to.
I mean, a bird could just, put the claws on them and then boom.
Unlike
GG.
some other weapons, claws can usually be regenerated if damaged, allowing them to be used freely with minimal risk. Claws can be used against
Crabs can really regenerate their hands?
multiple enemies
Or
at
their
once
claws?
if the build has decent mobility, making them an excellent choice for generalists and tanks alike. They can also be specialized into a variety of secondary perks that allow the user to climb, dig, or run at extreme speeds without slipping. Claws can be optimized for piercing, slashing, or crushing damage depending on which basic type you spec into. While some members of the arthropod faction have tiny hooked claws that are used for the mobility perks alone, others equip pincher-type claws called Chelae that can inflict
Crab eat fish? I did not know that.
massive crushing damage.
Oh, we learned something
The
new
size
every
of
day.
Chelae relative to the user's body varies between build classes, but they can be used in combat even on the smaller end due to the additional perk of being able to immobilize opponents. Crustacean builds like crabs and lobsters can use claws to crush or dismember prey, a devastating
Bro. I feel like they could get bigger, bro. I feel like they could get human size, bro. Like, sheesh. That look like let me see, what type of dog it look like? Probably like a French terrier, right? Look like the same size. Obviously not the same build, but damn. Look at the fucking claws on him, bro. That nigga been in the gym.
attack if it connects, though it can be fairly easily dodged by more mobile players. Scorpions can use their claws to inflict knockback, or as a physical barrier to keep an enemy away from their vitals. But they also enable them to use an extremely powerful grappling combination move. While an enemy is immobilized
Nah, I ain't gonna lie, bro. His accuracy is garbage. You know where your weapon is. Like, how your accuracy that bad, bro?
in their claws, scorpions use their flexible stingers to inflict massive piercing and venom damage. This attack is more effective than crushing alone, but the trade-off between physical power and venom potency means that some scorpions are still weak against builds that can deflect or withstand their stings. Instead of modifying entire limbs into crushing pinchers, many tetrapod builds can equip individual claws to each digit and then use them to inflict piercing or slashing damage. Reptile and mammal builds that spec into claws
What is that?
usually equip them to all 4 limbs. using them for combat as well as their broad array of secondary functions. Tetrapod builds in earlier expansions experimented with a variety of claw specializations, with Therizinosaurus dumping the most evolution points into the trait of any build in history. These giant curved claws were primarily used to hook and pull vegetation in order to access the best loot, but they served the secondary function of being used to attack or intimidate predators in a similar strategy
I want to see how bad that was.
to that of
Looked like it could
anteaters
take
in the
his whole
current meta.
face off.
Megatherium is another example of a build that went all in on claws, but theirs were specialized to withstand the impacts of intense digging, and thus were much more powerful in combat as a result.
That nigga cheating, bro.
Withstand the impacts of intense digging, and thus
That nigga cheating, bro. One hit KO.
more powerful in combat as a result.
He cheating,
Although-
bro. And it took a 10 million HP, bro.
Megatherium were large enough to
Definitely
repel
cheating.
most enemies using intimidation alone.
Oh,
Succeeding
that's that amount of damage.
in a meta where Smilodon were the apex predators meant that their claws needed to be ready for serious action when necessary. While Thenocerosaurus and Megatherium are no longer playable builds, the basic tetrapod claw specializations that they pioneered are still influential in today's meta.
Oh yeah, this is the type of guy you do not want to meet on any nature, bro. Because once they start chasing you, it's GG's. Once they start chasing you, bro, it's GG's. Because based on what TierZoo says, they're gonna track you down until the no matter where on the island you are, they're gonna track you down if they want to eat you, bro. They are relentless. Golly.
While some mammal variants spec into nails or hooves instead, claws are still an extremely common limb equipment choice and are used for everything from climbing and foraging to attacking enemies. Digging is a common specialization for mammal players, with builds like the armadillo and anteater leveraging their claws to access hard-to-reach resources. At the extreme end of this ability, moles use their long, thick claws and sensory modifications to complete their entire playthroughs in subterranean maps, where they can farm out invertebrate players for XP. Other mammal builds spec into lighter claws to preserve dexterity and use them more in a generalist fashion, but this means they can only inflict minor scratch damage in combat situations. The cloven hooves of even-toed ungulate builds like pigs and deer technically are claws as well, which add cutting
I did not know
edges to already powerful limbs and increase the damage inflicted by kicks.
Like, get down there, bro.
Mammals in the Carnivora faction all have claws, but only some are fully dependent on them to take down enemies. Felids have extremely sharp claws that retract when not in use, conserving their durability and allowing
Who he stalking? Who he stalking,
them to
bro?
move silently when preparing to ambush an opponent.
Damn.
These claws provide additional traction
The worst cat in the world. The worst cat in the world. All he got is speed. Got nobody. Like, he can't body nobody. He get bullied by hyenas, by freaking vultures. Like, bruh, they made you sound so cool when I was a kid, man. They say, oh, this is the fastest cat in the world. And then you grow up and you're like, yo, all he got is speed. He can't do nothing else. Like, damn.
and therefore movement speed when extended, but more importantly, they greatly increase both the damage and grappling capability of these Felids. This grappling can be used in a deadly combination, where claws immobilize an opponent so the user can safely inflict lethal bite damage. They're also remarkably effective for climbing, which opens up access to areas of the map
Yeah, this is the type of line I should call it. Is that a jaguar or a leopard?
that other carnivore builds can't reach. With some of the best speed and power stats in the game, Felids are absolute killing machines that use claws to decimate bird and mammal player bases.
Jeez.
For builds which lack the ability to retract their claws, the repeated contact with the ground causes them to become dull and less useful for climbing or combat, but they do still provide solid mobility bonuses. Since bird forelimbs are modified into wings, most avian builds
I
can only
remember
equip
this.
functional claws to their
Damn, bro. He caught you lacking badly. Oh yeah, that was from last video. All birds OP.
feet. Hoatzins have the unique ability to equip claws to their forelimbs that are used for climbing, but this ability is shed at higher levels in favor of flight, and forelimbs that are used for
Yo, look at the... What the hell?
climbing. But this ability is shed at higher levels in favor of flight, and all other birds are restricted to hind limb claws only. While this may seem like a limitation,
flex,
members of the
but okay.
Raptor faction use their claws and wings in conjunction to carry out some of the deadliest ambush attacks in the game. Their absolutely busted sensory abilities and mobility stats allow them to attack before an opponent can even detect their presence, impaling them with sharp talons before they have time to react.
Imagine you after a bunny and then a freaking eagle went after you. Yo, rest in peace, Fox.
And counterattack.
Rest in peace.
However, Raptor legs are
Jeez.
relatively short and their wings can't deal much damage in their own right, which limits their ability to counterattack when an enemy launches an attack on the ground or from behind. In a major departure from the typical avian playstyle, some birds dump evolution points into their legs and feet at the expense of their flight ability. This strategy hinges on having a high enough run speed to evade.
Yeah, bro. I think he's speaking the wrong stats, bro. Cause you classify as a bird and you can't fly, man. That's what makes all birds unique. But hey, man, you gotta do what you gotta do.
Most enemies,
that's what you're rolling with.
And enough power in their legs to disembowel enemies with dagger-like claws when challenged. Both types of avian builds can be viable against certain opponents.
Oh yeah, I think the last video, right, they said this bird was OP, and I agree. That's probably the most top tier bird I've seen. Look how big he is. And not only that, he got long legs to take out what you call predators. I said predators, prey. And if you get run into lions, whoo, you can't catch me. Can you fly? No? Okay then.
But their inability to inflict much damage with their wings leaves them vulnerable to rushdown and more powerful builds, and underscores the benefits of having claws equipped to all 4 limbs. Claws are an excellent weapon choice for players with the flexibility and limb lengths needed to maximize their threat range. But even on less mobile builds, they're still well worth the investment.
Is it though? Can a sloth really injure you though? I'm just saying. I think an eagle could just grab him, right? And then take him when he's about to attack. Let him go. And if the sloth can grow wings, shit, he gonna live another day. But if he can't, IP, man.
These versatile weapons are at their best when they're used either as a safe, non-committal attack to chip away at an opponent, or as part of a grappling combination move that anchors an opponent in place, while additional damage is inflicted by either teeth or stingers. As the top-tier claw users, Felids are definitely OP, as they have pretty much the perfect setup to maximize the utility of their highly specialized claws. So don't expect to immediately skyrocket up the tier list the moment you spec into the claws tray.
Nah, the jump is a different thing of itself, right? Now, how is he gonna land? Because he's falling backwards. So how is he gonna land?
As the Felid class.
What the? You see how he turned his body like a snake.
May be a bit of an
and then boom.
outlier.
Wow.
However, claws are still a valuable addition to almost any build that can equip them. And
it's like it looked like he just dislocated his bone, and then boom, the back of his body just got loosened. It
costs very little in terms of evolution points, considering how many new options and strategies they can add to a character. On the subject of claws, you may have noticed that I didn't discuss one of the game's most famous claws in this video. On that note, I have a bit of an announcement.
That's it for the video,
I've been
right?
secretly working on something big. My own 3D
man, I ain't gonna lie, he caught me with that. But anyways, man, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Comment down below for what you want me to act to next for more amazing videos like this, man. And we,
So far, I've
excuse me, or
show on this channel, since many
out.